Good morning. We meet once again, everyone. This is yet another episode of Askediome, and today the topic is probiotics. So, every other claim made by the companies, whether the probiotics are good for your health or not good for your health, we are going to decode it right now. So, the first question begins: why do we need probiotics?
Okay, for everyone, probiotics are nothing but the live organisms which we generally ingest, right? And
Yeah.
we all know that, microbes confer a lot of health benefits inside our body, right? Right from metabolic health to skin health to brain health to, autoimmune health. There are a lot of functions which are microbes play, and if so probiotics are generally administered mostly orally, and they are given for the perspective of improving the diversity and the functions of microbes living inside our gut, right?
Got
uh,
yeah.
but here the thing is, there are it's an if you see in by 2027, it's an 85 billion US dollar market, right? And a lot of players are getting into making probiotics for diarrhea, for constipation, for weight loss, right? For numerous things, for brain health, right? And the biggest thing is, we whether we need it or not, it all depends upon our biology, how our biology is functioning. We really need to measure our biology, right? So just by having a suggestion or an prescription that oh, you're gaining weight, probably take lactobacillus reuteri, or lactobacillus acidophilus. You have uh, high constipation issue, so start taking bacillus coagulans. There are some strains I've named, but these are our generic interventions which may even backfire, right? So first thing we really need to know is our body has more than 10,000 different strain of bacteria and microbes, right? And which one is not there, which one is there, which one is active, what they are doing, whether they're doing some function or not. Even if a microbe would be there inside your gut, if it's not functioning, if it's not active, right, it may not help. Even taking the probiotics may not help, but it may disbalance the composition. It may further escalate, digestive issues and many other problems. So first question we should ask is, uh, why we need a particular strain, right? And how do we determine which strain is required for our biology? How we determine what functions different microbes are performing? So here again, a lot of companies would say, okay, we see which bacteria or microbes are there, and we give you supplements. So we give you probiotics. So probiotics again is not a function of the existence of bacteria, but the function of the bacteria, what metabolites are being produced, right? And if it's harmful or beneficial. If it's harmful, whether we can modulate it through giving some probiotics, right? That is a question we should ask, right? And again, what exact amount of each probiotic you need, that is very, very precise. And most of the OTC probiotics or the standard probiotics being sold right now in market by a lot of new startups and companies, are generally made to scale, are generally sold in one single quantity. So we measure probiotics in billion CFUs, so billion or million CFUs. And again, they sell actually in a standard quantity which may be less or maybe more, right? So again, these are the questions we should answer. Yeah.
Also, I have a question.
Yeah.
I read it on Wikipedia, I guess, that they are mostly harmless. If you take probiotics for your gut health, they're mostly harmless, but sometimes there may be rare cases where it can be allergic. So, is it the case? Like, I don't know what is required by my body, but I have taken a probiotic in the name ki it will improve my gut health. So now I have taken it. So what will be the impact in my body? Is there something that I should be concerned about?
Yeah, yeah. So this is a really good question. So, uh, what happens is, again, gut is a delicate balance of different microorganisms, right? So there's nothing called as good and bad bacteria as such, right?
Mhm.
All depends upon the functions of the microbes. The same bacteria may be doing good thing in your body, may be doing bad thing in my body, depending on the environment which they're living. I think we discussed
Mhm.
in the previous
Yeah, yeah.
so right. So if we are, let's assume, I am taking some lactobacillus strains because that's the most of the probiotics being sold, right? And
Mhm.
that strain is already in abundance in my gut, right? And they are performing all the functions very well, right? And maybe I have some sort of diarrhea, right? So essentially, even if I have those things, right? If the proportion or the diversity of a single strain increases, right, it
Mhm.
may backfire because it may be doing a lot of functions, and it may start doing inflammation again because of imbalance, right?
Okay.
Imbalance is not
Mhm.
only about less of bad bacteria and more of good bacteria.
Mhm.
As I mentioned, there's nothing on good and bad, right? Okay, yeah, we 90%, 95% are good, rest 5% are really, they are pathological,
Mhm.
right? But again, we really need to have a balance, right set of balance, and that's why we have to focus on the functions, not on the existence, right? So even if a bacteria is there, if it's not performing functions, how much you take it is not going to help you, right? So it is
Mhm.
either going to backfire or do or not do anything, right? So again, these are all standard uh, Google school, or which is there. So you search on Google and we find a lot of things and we start following it. So your biology is very, very unique. Your biology is as unique as your fingerprint, right? So essentially, do not fall for such claims on internet, right? Because it may backfire, right? And again, focus on what they're doing, not who are there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So we have the next question. We see a lot of OTC and standard probiotics being sold. Do they confer health benefits?
Okay, so this is,
Does CFU of strain matter? CFU of the strain matter.
yeah.
Right.
So this is really, really important, and I'll deep dive into it a bit in detail, right? So essentially, first thing is, let us go back and discuss one example here, right? So let's consider this, that someone has a diarrhea, right? So again, there are multiple reasons you can have diarrhea. So one would be, in scientific terms, right? It is if you have a lot of activity of sulfate reducing bacteria, SRBs, like D-sulfobrio and all these things. So they convert a lot of sulfur inside, or sulfurin inside the food we eat, right, into hydrogen sulfide, what we call as H2S, right? And this is one of the reason you have chronic diarrhea and loose stools and a lot of these things, right? Okay. And another reason could be dysregulated bile acid metabolism, right? So bile acid, we know it is required for fat digestion, right? And mostly function is done in the small intestine. But if your bile acid metabolism suboptimal, if you have certain microbes like biofilm and a lot of these microbes who are doing pro-inflammatory activities, so a lot of this bile acid can from primary, it can move to, it becomes secondary. When it moves to large intestine, it can start doing bad things. It can trigger malabsorption and even diarrhea, right? So first thing is, we really need to understand, if we are taking a probiotic for a diarrhea, right, what is the reason why we have a diarrhea? So because if we don't know that, we may be taking up a wrong probiotic after all, and it may create an imbalance, right? So that is
So,
something.
one
Yeah.
question, just one question.
Yeah.
That so have probiotics for diseases like we have diarrhea or something like
Yeah.
chronic
Yeah.
obesity and something like that. So
Again,
we have probiotics for that.
yeah, so what happens is, you have, so disease is nothing but Disease is dis plus ease, your body is not at ease, right? Why? Because your body is imbalanced. Why? Because there are a lot of pro-inflammatory activities happening inside the body, which is triggering the release of pro-inflammatory molecule like cytokines, chemokines, TNF alpha, and all these things, right? Which actually impacts, which makes you develop disease, right? So only thing is, how do you modulate, right? So a disease state is that when your genes is either overexpressed, or there's a changing expression of genes, right? Both human and microbial genes. Again, but what is the trigger point?
Okay.
Trigger point is obviously the interaction between your food and your microbiome, right? So when you are taking probiotics, you are actually changing your gut flora. You are changing the functions of the gut flora. Probably you are pushing towards stimulating anti-inflammatory activities and suppressing pro-inflammatory activities, right? For instance, if you have a lot of high
Okay.
methane gas production or acid reflux, right?
Mhm.
Or constipation issues, right? So Bacillus coagulans is again a probiotic which may help, right? And because when you have
Okay.
a high methane, it is not only about protein. So even consumption of carbs and fats can release a lot of methane. So if you have a lot of archaea inside your gut, right? Archaea is a
Mhm.
eating bacteria, right? So in that case, Bacillus coagulans may help, right? But again, it
Okay.
all depends what is the level of the methane gas production inside your body, how
Mhm.
much of each you require, right? So there's a very, very delicate balance which is required, right? So this is something
Okay.
which is really important. We need to understand if we have an health condition, why we
Mhm.
have it before even we go and grab a probiotic, because
Yeah.
the root cause may entirely change our decision on whether we need to take a probiotic or not, or even if we need to,
Mhm.
what specific probiotic we need to take, right? So this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
very important. And now coming on to your question, right? The very important aspect is there is a journey, right, for your
Mhm.
probiotic, from which are orally administered from your mouth to your small and large intestine, right? And this journey
Mhm.
is full of hurdles, right? So if someone,
Mhm.
okay, take this probiotic, this is, maybe 300, $400, $500, it'll help you relieve constipation or diarrhea, this is just a story. It is not going to help,
Mhm.
because, yeah, so let's start from this first step. When the probiotics goes through your saliva, right? And
Okay.
the saliva is mildly acidic, right? And it is
Mhm.
antibacterial in nature, so there's a lot of chances that this probiotic may lose its viability, right? In the saliva
Okay.
itself, right? Or even
Okay.
passes through, it goes through stomach. Again, stomach is a very high acidic environment, right?
Acid.
Uh,
Yeah.
we have gastric acid, gastric juices a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this destroys a lot of the bacteria which is coming from the cell of bacteria which is coming from probiotics, destroy a lot of these cells.
Mhm. True.
Probably you may not confer the benefit, even if it
Mhm.
survives, right? Then via small intestine, it come across a lot of bile acids, bile salts, and even digestive enzymes,
Yeah.
which further can
Mhm.
can reduce the
Yeah.
viability,
That
right? Or do a
got it.
DNA damage of the cells of
Mhm.
bacteria, right? So again, the fourth point, which is the most important one now, is, right, when it comes to colon, where the lot of these bacteria, so larger population lives in colon, right? So thing is that they face a lot of colonization resistance, right? From the
Hmm.
from the other commensal bacteria, because
Yeah.
like us, they compete for food and space. They run for
Yeah.
nutrients, right? And even
Anyways, they have their home, no?
right,
The
right.
ones that are already
Yeah,
living, why would they share their home
yeah,
with others?
yeah. So you won't allow a stranger enter your home, right?
Yeah,
So so
exactly.
so exactly what happens is, so these what do you call, these probiotics actually interact with
Mhm.
a lot of immune cells also in the small intestine, so they have a role to play. But again, you have to
Mhm.
see, so once it comes to the large intestine here, either they have a colonization resistance because they compete for food and nutrients,
Mhm.
or they really need to have this mucosal adhesion sites, right? It's like, you need to stick around, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mucosal line, again, mucosal line is in first point of contact between human and the gut microbiota, right? So
Okay.
essentially, if you don't have that mucosal adhesion site, probably the bacteria won't survive. The survival rate is very, very minimal, right?
Okay.
So what matters is here, the questions we should ask is, right, uh, which strains are optimal for my biology right now, right? What
Mm-hmm.
quantity of strain is optimal? What is the
Mm-hmm.
time of the journey of this probiotic till the health benefits are conferred, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether what is the form of probiotic we are taking? Is it powdered form or capsule form or gummies or whatever you are taking? Because to survive this probiotic from the gastric acid, the stomach acid, and the bile acid and the digestive enzymes, you have something is coming up right now is what we call is encapsulation, right? So it's like you protect the inner shell, which is probiotics, with the outer shell, right? And outer shell can be prebiotic, can be polyphenols, can be resveratrol, right? So or maybe can be some other element, plant-based element, which actually, so if you passes through the stomach acid, it may get destroyed. So see like things you are throwing in air, or things which are going in universe, right? So some things, even something, if you're sending a rocket or satellite in universe, right, it even get destroyed, right? Things get destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
get dismantled, right? Similarly, you really need to have that shelf to make sure that your bacteria or your probiotic reaches uh, the right place,
Yeah.
right? So the right time, right place,
Mm-hmm.
right strain, right amount, and the right form, right? These are the uh, few major aspects which we should see, right, when we are going for
Mm-hmm.
probiotic. Again, you really need to understand the functions of your microbiome to understand which
Mm.
probiotic in just quantity we require, right? So this is really, really
Yeah.
important, because don't fall for all this, just being someone is saying 500 to 600 bucks or 700 bucks.
True.
Don't fall for
Mm-hmm.
such probiotics. It's all, it may further derail your health.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So we have the last question. Does probiotics reaches the colon alive?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what we answered, right? So essentially,
Mm-hmm.
just to summarize, things which we should uh, consider when we are taking a probiotic. First thing is why we need a probiotic. We really need to understand
Got it.
the microbiome. If we need,
Mm-hmm.
which strain we need, why would we need those strains, what
Mm-hmm.
quantity, what billion CFUs of each strain we need, right? Uh,
Mm.
what form we need, right? What
Okay.
is the time, it should be dissolved or metabolized inside the body? What kind of metabolites would be released by these probiotics?
Mm-hmm.
For instance, in case of brain, if you're taking lactobacillus rotori, it actually helps in production of folate and vitamin B12, which is required for brain health, right? So essentially, what metabolites are being produced, right? And the form, how you should take, whether powdered form or encapsulated form, or what, or gummies, right? So these are the questions we should answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are done for today. I've answered all the questions.
Okay, great. So we'll come up with the next set of session maybe next week, right? And
Mm-hmm.
uh, stay tuned, we'll be sharing more knowledge and information about our health. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ridhima. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
thank
Thank
you.
you.